What's up, unretirees? Art Johnson here. And today I'm going to be talking about getting our inner game right. With all the things on our mind, it's easy for us to get off kilter and out of sync with ourselves and our getting our inner game right because of all of the things happening in the world with politics, the threat of war, the high fuel prices and all that. You can kind of get really distracted and your whole attitude, your whole thing can get kind of depressed. And I'm not going to let that happen to me. And hopefully I'm trying to let it happen to you. So without further ado, here we go. So we're talking about getting your inner game right. And it's kind of interesting. As soon as I start focusing on this and start thinking about this, an article came across my inbox that was right on time. The oldest baby boomers turn 80 in 2026, and I'm one of those. I was born in 1946, and it has a really series of good articles that kind of get me focused on the opportunity, the challenge, and the opportunity of us navigating our unretired lives here. So there's a couple of articles. You can click through this and go through them all. But there's an article on the U.S. centennial population being projected to quadruple over the next 30 years. That's as of January the 24th. It asks, are baby boomers wealthier than previous generations of older adults? And that's true, but at least for more than half of us. The other half, about 48%, don't have enough money to live off, wealthy. And Gen Z millennials are standing out for climate change activism and social media engagement with issue. And so that's an opportunity if we associate and start working with millennials and Gen Z younger generations here. And we talk about the politics. The boomers, the science are still have most of the seats in the Congress, though members of millennials are up slightly. And the pace of boomer retirements has accelerated in the past year. That was in 2020. Now, 6 years later, and that has continued. So, one of the things that my calling is to have a better, more enlightened business development approach to addressing needs as opportunities in disguise. So, to focus on needs, I went back to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is great because it has a whole gamut of needs from physiological needs all the way up to self actualization. So, and each need of addressing is an opportunity to address them. So, here's some things worth considering. Uh, what are you most passionate about? This is what I'm thinking. What am I most passionate about? I'm most passionate about navigating my unretired life practically and as a way of operating gainfully. And ask what are you most proficient in? And I'm asking you, what are you most proficient in? And how can you leverage them both gainfully as your remaining time on the earth plane counts down? I'm 80. I don't have that many years left on the earth plane. And so I want to really make that all count, every moment count, every breath count. And this is also about storytelling and addressing needs as opportunities in disguise and imagining the story that I'm called to tell and how it's going to work out. So there's a structure to story that I'm going to go ahead and offer with you. That I'm asking you to think about your own story, a story that deep within you're called to tell. The first part of that structure story is exposition. That's about who you are, what life as usual has at least has been, what business as usual has been like. That is before plot point one, which is all the changes that you encounter, and that moves you from exposition to challenge, uh, from the least challenging of things in your life to the more challenging things to even more challenging things to the most challenging things in your life. For me, the most challenging thing is thinking about this climate change and the need to take meaningful and timely climate action. And the good news, however, is the story moves forward again to plot point two, and that's about the change where things start getting better. And I think it's got better for me once I learned there are other people who cared about climate change, and I joined Al Gore's Climate Reality Project and watched that grow over decades into a massive hub that has a reach of people across the planet, and seeing frontrunners doing some great things, offering a huge, massive curriculum from people at EcoActus, who I've started to meet with and exploring ways to work together with them to work for resolution from really resolving the least opportune to the more opportune to even more opportune to even the most opportune opportunity, which has to do with climate action itself gainfully. But one of the problems that I have as an expert is I'm working today with all the information on the internet and everything with AI and everything is a huge smorgasbord of choices and trying to avoid not getting stuck. And that's the curse of having so much knowledge, you don't know where to begin with it. There's a nice photograph. It shows you the giant smorgasbord of opportunity here. What do I do to put on my plate? What do I put on the plate of others, of those I serve? And what do I not do to overwhelm myself? What do I not do to overwhelm the people I serve? And right on time again in my inbox comes an email from Sunny Lenarduzzi, who is a amazing, successful entrepreneur on YouTube. And she has this article and she talks about the problem that people have, particularly the curse of the expert. She asks, why is it that the smartest people in the room are always never the highest paid? Interesting. And she says the problem is that their internal game dictates their degree of success. And their internal game needs to be worked on because you know so much, you question the value of all of that and where to start with all of that. And that's the curse of knowledge, she calls, and people having what she calls the imposter syndrome. I don't deserve this because I'm not ready yet, blah, blah, blah. And then some of the cases, well, I'm too old, it's passed me up, and blah, blah, all of that kind of, all those kinds of excuses. But to stop outsourcing my authority. I had an experience of that when I got hired by GoDaddy, the world's largest ISP, to do some senior instructional design work. And I got a chance to witness what they were doing with all these Zoom rooms and all this stuff. And I realized that there's some things that I knew that I could leverage that they weren't doing that could engage employees better and outreach to community and even do more good. So I immediately promoted myself from just looking at myself as a senior instructional designer to chief learning officer and CEO of my own company, and to leverage what I already know and do it more smartly. So that's what I'm working on, and that's what this video is about. And you can go to and click on that link. That's the name of the video if you want to know more. But one of the ways to leverage this, and particularly if you haven't caught up with technology, I've been involved with technology decade after decade, ever since 1997. And shortly after that begun, Google started coming on strong with all these applications that allowed me to put my business in the cloud. And now Google Workspace, it used to be called Google Apps, it's called Google Workspace, is a great way to get going because it's all contained in one place. And these uh, applications are integrated with each other. They all work together very nicely. There's the domain name email, there's docs, there's slides, there are sheets like spreadsheets, there's Meet, which is like Zoom, but it's better because you don't have to download anything and wait for stuff to render and all that. And it goes right into your Google Drive. There's forms to do surveys and all kinds of information that needs to be organized. There's sites which you can use, either a public site. You can visit my public site, or you can build an intranet for your own internal business enterprise here. And of course, there's Drive, which is that lies report repository. And recently, I learned that I have access to Google Classroom, which was a way for hosting a course that I'm developing called Navigating Your Unretired Life, and several other courses on each one of these applications here, and Gemini AI. So if you get this Google Workspace, Gemini is included. If you get the enterprise version of the Workspace, then you can get all this stuff really nicely. So that's what I'm working on here. So going back to this hierarchy of needs here, uh, I've discovered that the best place, particularly doing online learning, is develop friendships, develop intimacy, family, and sense of connection with people across the planet, and through an enlightened business development approach, a better way of doing business, not just thinking about the money and profit, but thinking about the planet, thinking about humanity and humankind. The Pope is talking about this and doing the wake up call. Even though we have AI, we've got to make sure that we have guardrails and that we're doing it from the heart and not letting us getting out of our control. And for me, it's getting known, getting liked, getting trusted, getting some of the things I'm recommending tried, getting some of my services bought again, and then getting referred again as my remaining time on the earth plane counts down. So I'm trying to make every breath count. And the way I'm doing it also is to develop an all-inclusive virtual enterprise. I realized retrospectively after I started working in the cloud that, man, all of my services are near zero carbon footprint with big reach, and they're ultra affordable, ultra eco-friendly, and I keep adding to them. So one of the services that I'm invented to tell my story is on my new 3D explainer video services, where I use an application to tell a major story with my fictitious CEO Dave of a global enterprise, who, after reading my LinkedIn articles, comes to me and says, Johnson, I need your help. I need to gain focus. So he sells himself on our first service, which is doing virtual focus groups and strategic planning services for his company. And in that, he discovers um, a young employee Lizzie, who says, you need to develop a YouTube channel. We can develop one about climate change that'll help your company as well. So he listens to her and makes some real gains here. And we teach other people how to do workshops and courses. We're working on a whole suite, a whole curriculum for a new world here that you need to talk to us about. This is a good opportunity, therefore, to join our channel, subscribe to our channel, and so you don't miss out. And mobilization campaign services, we've actually developed this whole series to be used in concert as a mobilization campaign, starting with, getting focused, doing a YouTube channel, doing workshops, and then doing a whole mobilization campaign, both in the physical world and online, to mobilize people and organizations locally, regionally across the planet. And they arrive at world-class virtual conferences and trade shows that we will do. We actually have a whole platform service here that invite you to take a look at that allows you to do this effectively. The whole great thing about virtual conferences and trade shows is that more people can be there, get there, and get back just by logging on. They don't have to pay for flight, they don't pay for hotel, per diem costs, and all that, and not having to be away from their place of work or residence. And this also drives instructional design services for people who see what we're doing, and a better job of reaching with employees and reaching with a greater community and helping the public relations partnerships of companies and all that, and build and physical world live streaming. So some of these corporations are spending millions of dollars being in trade shows and doing national sales meetings and having to fly people in, or having some people not being able to go. And we can add value to their physical world events by affordable live streaming, working with strategic partners and new technology, and then building global strategic partnerships. That's what the whole thing is really about. And we can go all the way into people's classrooms, in people's homes, hospitals, community centers, uh, everywhere there is access to the internet on people's mobile devices, even. So here are the next to-dos, step by step. If you like where we're going and you need to know more, then the first thing you need to do, the first step to take, is to finish watching this video and some of the other videos that we have, because you don't want to miss out. Okay. And to weigh in with your comments, you can actually, you can actually weigh in with your comments right on our YouTube player here. What do you think about where we're going with this? Does any of this make sense? What's on your mind? What do you need? What challenges do you have in front of you that we can help you solve? So you weigh in with your comments. And then, because you matter, and to schedule a free consultation, visit us at newworldcom.com, go to our contact us page, and schedule a free consultation, because we can help. Okay. And let's connect. Okay. Because we can make a difference, particularly if we start working together with groups, whole groups of people. We're not alone here. And if identify with this group of people, of unretirees who are making a difference, you can make a difference in your own life as well. So that's really it. If you need to know more, I'd love to connect with you. You can text or call me at 206-920-8067. You can email us at support@newworldcom.com. You can visit us at newworldcom.com and go to our contact us page and schedule an appointment with us, because we can make a difference. So I look forward to working with you, and it's been great. See ya. Here we go.